Hey guys, welcome back to the Pulling Girls podcast. Today on episode 108, we are talking to another online prenatal class for couples graduate. She has a 3-week-old. I bet he's super cute. Let's untangle it. I'm Hillary Erickson, the curly head behind the Pulling Curls podcast, where we untangle pregnancy, parenting, home, and even travel. We know there's no right answer for every family, but hopefully we can spark some ideas that will work for yours. Life's tangled, just like my hair. Hey guys, before we get started, just a reminder that reviews are like the best. I mean, they're not as good as like having the baby, but they're pretty good. Can you leave a review? All right, today's guest is a friend of mine on TikTok. She took my class and then I would see her on TikTok and all those kind of things. She has a 3-week-old. I want to introduce my friend today, Toni. Do you feel prepared for your delivery? In just 3 short hours, you can be prepared for the confident, collaborative delivery you want. You'll know what to expect and how to talk with your healthcare team, and there are no boring lessons in this class. I'll use humor, stories from my 20 years in the delivery room to engage both of you. I love how Alyssa told me that she found herself laughing at things that used to sound scary. Most of all, you guys are going to be on the same page from bump to bassinet. Join the online prenatal class for couples today. You can save 15% with coupon code UNTANGLED. You can find the link in the show notes. Hey, Toni, welcome to the Pulling Curls podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, I love having the graduates on. It's so great.
Yes, and honestly, it's been great.
Okay, your baby is, how old is this little one?
He is 4 weeks old, so just a couple of days shy of a month. God, that sounds weird saying that, right? In weeks and days. But yeah, almost a month old. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it is funny how you start out at days, then you go to weeks, then you go to months, and then you're like, wow, now I say years.
Right, and then you try to remember how many of them.
Yeah. I mean, it would be bad if we still went by months and I'm like, my 21-year-old is 480 months or whatever.
Yep, I have to do math and that's just, I'm out at that point in time.
Too much math. And what did you name him?
Wyatt Anthony.
Cute.
It is.
All right. So tell us 3-ish things that you did to prepare for your confident birth.
So the first one, the obvious one, was to take your class. And I had been following you on TikTok for a while. I remember the first time you jumped on my FYP, I was like, oh, she's actually making sense. I wonder if I can learn more. And then I realized you were offering a class. So I took that. And one of the reasons I think that was really impactful to me, and I know this really sounds like a commercial, right, for your class, but it's not intended to be that. It's just genuine feedback. Is because it wasn't so much just geared on the birther, but it was geared on the birther plus support, right? So the fact that I could get my husband involved in it with meaningful questions and conversations that I didn't even know I needed to have with him prior to delivery was really the game changer for me, for us. So that was one big thing that I did. And I'm really, really happy that we did it. I'm really happy that I got the book and the online class so that I could just go back and forth, print it all out, take notes. So it was sort of like studying for an exam.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people end up looking at it kind of like that way. And I love that you loved it. Now you guys are in an interesting situation. You have a stepdaughter that's 19. So he's done this before.
Yes, he has.
Did that help?
It did. So he is not a shy person and he will speak up and he will always advocate for the well-being of the people he cares for. And I know, a lot of times when I hear those stories or when I would read the horror stories of women not feeling confident in their birth, I'm like, where's your support person? Because my husband would be chasing somebody down, right? Trying to fix whatever it is that's going on. So for him, it helped a lot because he was calm and he was confident through it all. But my delivery compared to, the first delivery that he's experienced, completely different. I mean, the first one, very traumatic to him, and her biological mother, forceps involved, emergency, delivery because the cord was wrapped around her neck. So he remembers that. This one, we labored watching Street Outlaws, and the kid was born to Gold Rush. So, sort of a different experience, right?
Well, and he had to be pretty young, 19 years ago, right?
Yeah, well, ish. No, he was actually, I think, close to 30. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
All right. So he wasn't an 18-year-old
Mm-mm.
sitting in there with big wide eyes.
No, no, ma'am. No, neither one of us are young.
Well, that's great. So he enjoyed the course, you think?
Yes, he did enjoy the course. He enjoyed the printouts a lot because it was very easy for me to sort of slide something his way or just stop him in the middle of whatever we were doing that day and say, "Hey, gut reaction. How do you feel about this?" And I would ask him a question. One of the questions that you would pose at the end of every chapter. So I'm just like, I want gut reaction, unfiltered. How do you feel about this? What are your first instincts on this? And that was really good. And then the piece that it also helped us have more meaningful conversations with the providers and with the doulas. Through work, we're provided a service that allows us access to several healthcare professionals that would encompass all prenatal and postpartum care and pediatrics and all of that. They don't replace our providers, but they give us information. So we took advantage of that in a way that was actually constructive because we had the knowledge from you. We knew what to ask, we knew what to be concerned about, where we wanted more information. So I had really good sessions, a couple of sessions with a doula, and then a couple of sessions with a midwife. And of course, pediatrics, we did one. And it was just really important for him to be able to be involved. So the course allowed him to be involved and then gave him tools to remain involved throughout the entire process. And I think if your sport person wants to do that, this is the route to go. Right. Because it puts them in the middle of it, doesn't leave them on the outside like an afterthought.
Yeah, I hate it when dads are just in the corner typing. They literally have no idea what's going
Right.
on and don't want to engage in it at all. I'm like, dude, this is just as much you. It's just not coming out of your body.
Right. Right. And he's the opposite. Like with our nurses, we were very fortunate. We had really good nurses, both in L&D and postpartum, and we vibed with the majority of them. But he was like, I'm here. I want to be involved. Can you please get me involved? Like, I really need to be involved. I don't want to be a fly on the wall. He's like, what can I do? And a lot of times, and I understand this because the birther is the patient, right? They come in, they talk to you, and they want to make sure you're okay. Your sport person is like, yep, you're not the patient. As long as you're not passed out on the floor, we're going to assume you're good. But the really good stuff was when the nurses would come in and more than just acknowledge him, get him involved in my care and explain what's going on and allow us to have conversations to discuss, the brain, basically acronym, right? Go over that every time we try to
Yep.
to choose a direction. And they would just flat out turn to him and ask him, hey, do you have any questions? And I knew that he was confident now in knowing what was going to happen and what he could ask or couldn't.
I love that. I will say that as a nurse, you kind of have to feel the vibe in the room to know if dad even wants to be involved, because the last thing I want to do is make a relationship between mom and dad worse
Right.
while I'm there, where I'm like trying to involve dad and he's like, no. And then it just ticks the mom off even more. That I do not want.
Oh, I feel no, he was there, bright eyed,
Oh, I
bushy
love that.
tail, like, all right, what are we doing? What am I doing?
That's
Can
awesome.
I help you flip her over? It was
I love that. We have a podcast on movement during labor. And one of the things is if dad can like say, yeah, I want to help, it really helps the nurse because sometimes we can't turn mom all that well on our own and there's nobody to help us. So,
right.
yeah.
Yep. No, he was there. And I know you and I chatted a little bit. I had a fabulous relationship with the peanut ball. We were best friends. And so every time it was time to move that, I'd be like, all right, come, come and reposition.
Yeah.
And it made it easier and made him feel involved. So to me, going into it, everything that we did, especially with this being an IVF baby, it was really important that he always stayed connected and that we were in it together because I never wanted him to feel like it just the whole attention was just on me. Because I'm like, it takes as much out of him, I think mentally, not physically, 'cause, no, that would be weird, but mentally, right? But mentally, it's a lot of pressure, I think, on him as well. So it's like, all right, if I get you involved, then it alleviates some of that.
Yeah. I think actually mentally it's harder on them sometimes because they have zero control and they get to see you in pain and they wonder like what's going on with the baby. Like they're just like, I'm sure their mind just goes 5 million miles an hour.
Yep, yep. And luckily, there was no pain for me through, through it all, which was the odd part. Um, not complaining, but the only piece where I know that he was worried is when the epidural hit. I mean, it hit and it tanked me. And I told him, I was like, you need to be prepared for that. I've had such low blood pressure the entire pregnancy. I don't care how much fluids they're going to put in me. I'm going to tank. Just be prepared. And that was the only time where I saw some worry on his face when I told him I'm tanking. And the nurse just pushed that call button. A bunch of people rushed in. So I think that to him was the only time, speaking of pain and, not being able to do anything, but hopefully he was prepared for it. It's like, you need to be mentally prepared. I kind of am.
It can be scary because usually many nurses run in. We just love to support each other. We're all ladies. And, it's nice when somebody's turning, somebody's giving the IV med, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
many hands make patient feel supportive, although it also can be scary. So that's awesome that you guys were prepared for that. I think I mentioned it in the class, right?
Yes, yes, that a lot of people are going to come in. And I think you mentioned it as well for the delivery that just a ton of people will rush in, which was fine.
Yeah. And not always. Sometimes there's just like 3 or 4, but sometimes all of us come in.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of them. And then just randomly people would walk in. I'm like, "Hi, welcome to the show,"
What's up? Yeah.
and they would just stare at me like, "You're in active labor." Yes, yes, I am, but welcome. Yes, I can talk. No, I don't have any contractions. It's like, come on in, or if I do, I can't feel them.
Yeah.
Um,
To you, you don't.
yeah, I didn't. So it was, as I said, that to go back to your question, taking the class, being able to have good conversations with my providers. Oh, and one thing that I did, I rotated through 90% of my providers in the practice. I flat out,
Smart.
yeah, I told the lady at the reception, it was always like somebody new. If I haven't seen them, I want to see them. So we bounced around a lot. We speed dated that entire practice.
It is kind of like speed dating because those appointments are pretty fast. So you were at a really large practice? Like how many providers were at it that were delivering?
Um, so between the OBs and the midwives, I think just this location, maybe 12-ish. I have a booklet with them.
That is a lot of providers in
Yes.
one practice.
Yes.
Yeah. And did you find that they were all fairly similar mindset or there were some that were very different?
Majority of them were very similar. There was only one I didn't vibe with, and it was, I don't know if it was just her mood or my mood or whatever that day, but there was a conversation that felt a little bit dismissive around heartburn, and I'm like, yep, you and I we're just not gonna jive because you're giving me the, oh well, you're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm like, yeah, no, if I bring it up, it's more than just deal with it. So that was the only thing. But all the others, I would ask them similar questions, which were some of the questions from your class, and they would give me, they weren't canned answers, but they were similar answers and the same mentality, and asking them about, movement during labor, movement with an epidural, options for pushing, options for using, the peanut ball, the birth ball, the shower, the tub, IVs, birth plans, or I call it a birth preference because I didn't plan nothing. Outside of getting
I like that.
outside of getting that baby out. And they all welcomed that conversation. They didn't push
Oh, that's
any
good.
weird procedures. They didn't try to freak anybody out. They were always very cautious and respectful. And yeah, as I said, I speed dated them because I was hoping to be able to have a person that I knew actually delivered this baby, and it still didn't work out because apparently I missed a few.
Well, that is a lot of providers. I mean, I don't think you have, well, you probably have 12 appointments during your pregnancy, right? You,
I've had so yeah, well, from 36 weeks, I had them, what was it? One, and I went to all of them because the baby decided to show up on his due date. I had them once every weekend with me being IVF. They wanted me in more often.
yeah.
So we bounced around a lot. But no, I met, as I said, it was usually a new one with the exception of one midwife that I met with twice. It was always somebody new. And I had all midwives too.
I think that's great advice for people who are in
Yes.
larger practices because there are a lot of benefits to a larger practice. I think they're less rash to make a decision based on their golf game.
Yes.
But also at the same point, you do kind of have to get used to them. And it sounds like your clinic, a lot of them had very similar. I'm always fascinated by people that are in a partnership together that are not alike at all. I'm like, how do you manage each other's patients without losing your mind? But I guess that's their problem, not mine, right?
Right. And that was my big, as I said, it's, you go online, if you go to read on a forum, or even on TikTok, God, TikTok. Hmm. It's fabulous information, but it's everyone is fear mongering, and you hear all these horror stories, and it's like, okay, but how do you know, navigate the world of someone pushing you to do something based on that vacation or the golf game or a dinner date it was something about somebody had a dance to go to or something that I read. I'm like, what? How do you end up right with a episiotomy or a C-section or something because of that? It's like, no,
Oh, that's frustrating.
it's terrifying.
Yeah. So that's one of the huge benefits that I have with larger practices. Those doctors still get to have a life that they enjoy because it's not fair for us to be like, you have to be on call for me 24 hours days for the rest of your life. Like, I think everyone realizes no doctor's going to want to do that long term.
No.
So that's why the big practices I think are going to be the thing of the future. And I agree, get to know all of them. Don't get your heart set on one because they probably won't be on.
No, none. Like literally none of the ones that I absolutely loved. And the two midwives that were a part of our delivery were absolutely fabulous. But they were not the ones. We had an agreement. Like, you're delivering this child. You are vested in this now. Yep, no, didn't happen.
Oh, well.
But the upside of that is our hospital, where they have privileges. There's always an OB and two midwives from our practice on staff 24/7.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So fantastic arrangement. I was a huge fan of that.
Yeah, especially if you are a higher risk, that is important to have somebody there all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't my case. It was apparently I was just old. They just like to remind me of my AMA. So
AMA, it's so funny that we'll have somebody that's like 45 and then somebody 35 and we give them the same label. I'm like,
mhm. Yep, yep. They even call me a geriatric.
we had a 65-year-old still AMA.
What? Wow. That is
Yeah,
I
that's old.
that is old. That is impressive. That is some
Yeah.
stamina.
Okay.
I mean, are you kidding
Uh,
me? To be able to carry at no, 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 no. And then no sleep at
yeah,
65.
I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah.
Anything else you did to help you feel confident in the delivery room, or do we cover them?
I think, in all honesty, I think that was it. As I said, just knowing what to talk about, what to look for, understanding what goes on in the delivery room. Why do we need certain procedures? How to talk about them, how to ask for space to think about things. That was so empowering. Being able to just flat out tell the provider, I need a moment. I need a moment to have a conversation, with my husband and discuss how we want to do this, but also being able to set up an idea of what I would like to do and how I would like my delivery to go. Because that allowed me, when I walked into triage, my midwife came in and said, what do you want? What's your hope for this? And I told her, leave me as unattended, unaugmented as humanly possible. Let this baby do its thing. unless he or I are in danger, let's just see where it goes. I'm in no rush. You in a rush? He's like, nope, I'm here for 24 hours. I'm like, there you go. We will check back in the morning. And I said, she asked me, what's your pain management? I'm like, I'm ready for an epidural at some point. And it was 100% respected. I mean, no questions asked, nothing. She's like, okay, we are good to go. I will not bother you. I will maybe come and check in on you before you go to bed. Once you have your epidural, see how that hit. And that's what she did. She rolled in about 9 o'clock at night. I didn't see this woman until 6 o'clock in the morning when she woke me up. And she's like, yeah, you're complete, time to push. It's like, well, can I wake up first? And,
No.
finish my episode of Street Outlaws is the season finale. But yeah, that was it. So thank you, in all honesty.
A lot of it's just telling you what is an option, because a lot of people just don't know what the options are, and by knowing what your options are in a normal delivery, it just really helps you. So did you learn anything about yourself when you had that baby?
That I'm really, really quiet when I focus, apparently. Because I guess I didn't make a sound to where my husband would have to check, like, are you okay? I'm like, I get a little busy. I'm kind of pushing a human. Thanks. That's It was that. And then that I really felt very fortunate to feel in control and to be in control. There was no point in time where I honestly felt not hopeless, but helpless, right? Like somebody else was making choices for me. Like I wasn't involved in it. It just felt like a really good experience, so much so that I might be fooled to do it twice. Thankfully, I know that's not possible. So we're not going to get trapped in that. But that's honestly, that's what I learned is apparently I focus and I get quiet and I can stay in control through something I really thought I wouldn't be able to. Because everyone said, you'll go in the zone, in the pushing zone, and the contraction zone. I'm like, yeah, no, no, we didn't have that. I didn't know when that was happening. I had an app that told me to go to the hospital because I would have still been home. So I think that's about it. It's not some soul shattering stuff. I'll be honest with you.
No, I think that's it's interesting to just hear what people think about themselves after they have their delivery. So I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, that was it. And then I had a small. I was like, oh, we made this. I turned to my husband and I'm like, look, we made this.
Yeah. It is amazing. It really is amazing. Like as a nurse, you don't really think about everything that goes into building a baby and what your body does. But when I go to classes, I'm just like, wow, it's
And
amazing.
you've done that 3 times. you know, I-
And then but just watching other people do it, it's just the fact that it even happens normally as much as it does. It's just amazing. It's a miracle.
yeah, I do. And, to us, I never thought we would be there. I never thought I would have a child, biological child. I thoroughly enjoyed being a mom, and raising our daughter. But I had missed those first like 5 years of her life when I didn't have her. And so we're kind of filling in the gap now, and also having had a preview of teenagers and then into young adulthood. I'm like, oh God, I'm not ready. But it's beautiful. And as I said, I don't think I could have walked into this with the level of comfort and confidence. And same for my husband. Had I not been prepared to the point that even the nurses, they're like, what class did you take that you are aware? Like, we do not have to translate stuff for you. And I did. I pulled up your Instagram and your TikTok, and I'm like, here, this, this is what because I said pulling curls, and they're like, what? That, that's not, that doesn't sound like, yeah, just don't question it. here's, here's, here's the TikTok. Here's the Instagram. Just work with me here. And that to me was a huge compliment. At first I thought it's like, are you being serious? Like, do I actually know this stuff? And you're actually complimenting me, or are you being facetious? Because I can't take a compliment to save my life. But no, they honestly, they were all impressed because the questions that I was asking, I guess, were making sense to them. And when they were talking about the options and what's going on and why they're doing certain things, it just clicked. And we were able to have a conversation, I feel, on an even footing where things didn't get lost in translation. And I think that hopefully they felt they didn't have to adjust their presentation too much, for my husband and I to feel comfortable. And I also bribed them with candy, so that might have worked too. I don't know.
Yeah, candy will do a lot for
Yeah, I brought snack bags. So,
Toni, it sounds like you had a great delivery. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with us and with Mr. Wyatt and your husband. Good luck with everything. I know you are going to be you already are an amazing mom, but you'll continue it.
thank you so much. And thank you for providing this amazing platform. And honestly, just keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep recommending this class because it made a huge impact in my delivery. And I hope it will do the same for anyone else that takes it. But honestly, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. So fun to talk to people after they have a baby. In fact, if you took the online prenatal class for couples and you'd love to come on and chat with me, send me an email. You know you have my email because I'll have sent you a bunch of email, but I would love to chat with you as a graduate on the podcast as well. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. We know you have lots of options for your ears, and we are glad that you chose us. We drop episodes weekly, and until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.